So the question I received this week is my teen isn't eating breakfast. What should I do? And honestly, this is a question I get a lot. So often teens will rush out the door and start their day without eating a single thing. And if we're being totally honest, this isn't just teens. There are a lot of humans of any age that do this. And so this is really not a unique situation to your household if this is something that you're experiencing. This is something that is pretty widespread. Some parents are hearing from their teens that they just aren't hungry. Others might hear that they're pressed for time. Whatever excuse is happening in your household, here are a few tips that can help you to break this bad habit. And maybe these tips even need to be implemented for yourself. So tip number one, help prepare in advance. Especially if you're hearing that there isn't enough time to eat breakfast, planning in advance is going to be your best solution. Often we think of breakfast and we think of eggs, pancakes, toast, fresh cut fruit, and a glass of juice, and like the whole big spread. We don't need this whole spread to make a complete breakfast happen. So if you try preparing something like overnight oats in advance that can easily be grabbed on the way out the door, that can make a big difference, especially for an individual who is feeling pressed for time. You could also keep things like individual yogurt cups or yogurt drinks available in the refrigerator. Granola bars and protein bars can be great options for someone on the run. Fresh fruit that can travel easy. So I'm talking like an apple, a cutie, a banana. An orange might be kind of difficult because it can be hard to peel sometimes, or like a peach can be really delicious, but really juicy and messy. So think of really easy to travel fruits. Granola and trail mix, especially if they're in like individual single serve baggies, can be nice. Hard boiled eggs, even better if they're pre cooked and pre peeled. So there's like no need to do anything other than just eat them. And then anything along the lines of like bagels, English muffins, toast, mini muffins, all of those types of foods are really great options for time crunched teens. It can also be helpful to give them options of where to eat. So consider ways that breakfast can be consumed on, say, like a morning commute, driving to school, walking to the bus, or sitting on the bus, maybe even in class, if that's something that their teachers permit. Some people do take a minute to wake up. So having the option to eat breakfast, on the drive or while in class might make a big difference in their willingness to adopt this new habit, as opposed to being forced to like sit at a dining room table and eat when they just woke up 10 minutes ago and are feeling pressure to get out the door so they don't miss the bus. Tip number two is to start small and really work on training those stomachs. If your teen has been a habitual breakfast skipper, they might tell you that they just aren't hungry in the mornings. And this could be that they have trained their bodies to get used to not receiving any food in the morning, and they truly aren't experiencing any hunger at that time of day. It could also mean that they're ignoring or just don't understand their hunger cues and are completely missing the signals that their bodies are sending. Most likely, it's a combination of these two. To help combat this, it's important to start small. Forcing down a huge breakfast is just going to leave them feeling uncomfortable and overly full, and they're usually going to want to avoid that feeling in the future, and this will perpetuate them skipping breakfast. If they're willing to eat small amounts of food, you can slowly work them up to a complete breakfast. So start with a banana or a small granola bar, or maybe even just a glass of juice. Once they're used to having some calories in the morning, you can suggest a banana and peanut butter, or a granola bar and a yogurt. Eventually, they will start to train their bodies to expect food in the morning, which should also help with building a better understanding of those morning hunger cues. So if we can start small, that can help with setting up this stepping stone to help them get to the complete breakfast that ultimately we want them to eat and their bodies are asking for. And this can really set them up for success later in life as well. The third tip is to educate, which I totally understand is easier said than done. So what we want to do here is starting to plant seeds by asking how they feel in the morning, or if they have any type of midday slump, if you notice any dropping grades, especially in morning classes. This can be a way to ease into this conversation, or if your teen is expressing an extreme difficulty with staying awake at the beginning of the day. It's important to not come across as poking or nagging, though, when you're having these types of conversations. So approach this with a genuine curiosity and listen when they offer up this information on their own. You might not even need to bring up these topics to hear about the symptoms that they're expressing as being present. So maybe your teen comes to you and says, "Hey, I just I can't pay attention in math class. It's the first class of the day, and I'm just like exhausted in that class. I don't think I'm getting enough sleep." That would be a great opportunity to say, yeah, let's look at your sleep patterns and maybe we do need to increase your sleep. But it looks like you're already getting 9 hours of sleep as is. Maybe breakfast is the next thing that we should address. Like, do you want to try having a glass of juice in the morning and see if that makes you feel any differently in that first class? So that's a great way that we can interject and add a little seed into their brain without coming across as like you're doing this wrong and you need breakfast, because that's usually not going to be well received, especially by a teen. Um, so here are some other talking points that can really help you with planting these seeds. So when you do hear them complaining about any of these things, like I mentioned earlier, this is your opportunity to educate. So wait for them to open up and then we can educate. So one talking point that we can use is brain power. So eating breakfast can give your brain the energy that it needs to function, and this can help with improving focus, concentration, memory, and mood. So if you have an individual who's coming to you saying like, "Oh, yeah, I just like my brain feels zapped in the morning. Like I can't ever wake up." This is a great way to interject some nutrition information here. If they are complaining about energy, we can educate about how food in the morning will help with kickstarting your metabolism and setting you up for sustained energy throughout your day. So we can help with keeping consistent energy all day long if we start with eating breakfast. If they are struggling with mood, and especially if they can recognize that they're experiencing some hanger, or if you could even point out some hanger signs, gently, of course, you can talk about how hanger is a real thing, and helping to stabilize your energy levels can significantly impact mood and reduce irritability. Weight management, if this is a concern of theirs, definitely don't bring this up if it's not a concern of theirs. But regular breakfast eaters often have an easier time managing their weight. So if your teen is trying to gain weight, say for a sport, this would be a great opportunity for them to get extra calories in. If your teen is trying to lose weight, this would be a great way to start their day off on the right foot, to improve portion control and help set them up for better food choices throughout the remainder of the day to support those goals of theirs. I know that you have likely given all of these education points and it might just be falling on deaf ears. So it might also be helpful to pull in a professional to have some of these education conversations. I can say the exact same thing that you are, but since it's coming from someone outside of the home, it often hits differently. So if you would like to encourage your teen to follow some dietitians on social media or even sign up for an individual consult with a dietitian, that is something that can be really helpful with planting some of these educational seeds in a way that it might be heard a little bit better than coming from mom or dad. The last tip that I have for you is to keep it fun. It can be really easy to get frustrated and bogged down by this topic, so try to avoid that by keeping it light and fun. Choosing fun foods at breakfast can be really helpful. Breakfast doesn't always have to be eggs or the healthiest cereal that's on the market. If you throw in some energy bites or a Chobani drink with a Pop-Tart, that's totally okay. This is about getting something, not about starting off with the healthiest option possible. Find the areas of compromise that you're willing to make. So maybe you start with only having breakfast on the weekends, and that can be your baby step to starting to train their bodies to understand what hunger feels like in the morning. Then you can slowly increase that to breakfast 3 to 4 times a week. Maybe your compromise is about the quantity eaten or the nutritional value of that breakfast. So whatever your compromise is here, try and make some of those compromises in the beginning, and just keep in mind that we want to keep this experience fun and enjoyable. Another way to keep it fun is to make them feel like they have some choice in the matter. So involve them in making the grocery list or doing some of the shopping. You can also help to empower them to pick out some healthy breakfast items that they would like to try and have those available in the house for them. To avoid coming off as nagging, make sure that you're also leading by example. This is really important. Let your teen watch you enjoy a healthy breakfast before you run out the door, and let them see how you manage this even when you are crunched for time, and how you're still making that happen for yourself. It can feel hypocritical if we're asking our teen to do something that we ourselves aren't doing. So, in light of trying to keep this fun, it's really important to avoid coming across as hypocritical or nagging. So making sure that you're leading by example can go a really, really long way in this scenario. So helping teens to overcome the desire to skip breakfast, like I mentioned, is not about forcing them to eat. It's about empowering them to make the decision themselves. And we can do that by giving them convenient, tasty, nutritious, and a variety of options to eat, and also by creating a supportive environment that makes breakfast a natural and easy part of their morning routine, not something that causes an argument or they start to resent. This is a really important thing that, like I mentioned, there are a lot of families out there struggling with this. So the better we can be at this, the better we're going to be at setting our teens up for success and providing a nourished brain and body that can tackle anything that their day throws at them. If you are struggling to have this conversation with your teen and don't feel like you're getting through to them, feel free to reach out. The dietitians here at eNRG Performance are here to help. So if your teen is open to booking a consult, we would be happy to have some nutrition education conversations with them that would hopefully be a little bit more welcomed, just because it's always fun to hear things from not your mom or dad. So I hope that you had a nourished breakfast this morning, and I'll see you next time on our next Q&A.